Welcome to round 1. We are on the draw, but we sadly have to mulligan. We only have one island, and this hand has all our expensive cards as well. This is much better. Even though the Ghostly Flicker doesn't do anything yet, it's a late game card, so this is going to be fine. And that's actually very good. Now, the question is, do we keep the Timberland Gate to make the Ledge Seeker a 4-2, but when there's a Coin Striker we need to block anyway. Might even have to block with Ledge Seeker, so this is out of the question. It's so important to have a good curve in this format, and I'm quite happy how this is shaping up. If we draw a 4-drop, we might actually be able to just go 3-drop, 4-drop, 5-drop, cantripping, and then having 5 or 6 mana for Flicker and anything else we draw. Okay, this is quite good. Well, the Force Mage is good, of course, but it still means that we can trade with Coin Striker, and Ledge Seeker has 3 power, so it allows us to block the Force Mage next turn. Which is actually quite relevant on the Ledge Seeker. There aren't many 3 mana creatures that have 3 power on their own. He has a Borderland Ranger, which is a great card, but it kind of means that the aggressiveness is stopped and we basically go into the mid game now. He could have a removal spell still, Guise of Fire for example, or just decline to trade, but all of these are fine, and I hope that he doesn't also have a good late game. That's interesting. I'm expecting him to Soulbond here. No, yeah, he does. And I'm trading. I don't have a 4-drop yet, and even if I had, getting rid of his Force Mage is a higher priority than racing. It's possible that he drops Gryff Vanguard next turn. And we didn't draw the 5-drop the 4-drop we wanted, but we are bluffing Geist Snatch here, which he might play around or not. And we have the second green for the worm, so our next 2 turns are actually quite nice. So let's see if he decides to play a creature after combat. He has a Wandering Wolf, which might not be the drop he wanted to cast. And I waited a couple of seconds as if to decide if I wanted to counter it. The Fleeting Distraction combined with Mistraven might also be quite good here. And if we untap with both creatures, Ghostly Flicker is going to be great. I think we have to take the damage here to enable our spells. They are quite dependent on having something on the board, so. And that's a Wildwood Geist, okay. Now we just missed Raven here. bounce this guy, and we would like to get in for 3, but I'm kind of scared of him getting rid of the Mistraven, and then I would have dealt 3 but taken 4 and wasted my chance to use Fleeting Distraction. This might be too defensive, but I'm feeling quite good about how this game is going, so if we manage to stabilize on 10 life, we can start attacking back for 5 in the air. And we still have Ghostly Flicker and Peel to handle his most dangerous cards. And we almost have him out of cards also. Now what we don't know is if he can do something about Pathbreaker Worm. Now flickering these 2 is always going to be great. Yeah, there's still lots of cards that can lose us the game, but we should be quite far ahead, I think. The question is how we proceed with this game. We could simply use the Flicker to block both his creatures and get all the bonuses out of our creatures, but I think we have to get the Pathbreaker Worm in play. So even though there is some cards he could have to punish us for that, I feel like we have to start attacking at some point. And with the Ghostly Flicker we don't want to block, so even if he has Fervent Cathar, we aren't dead. So we are crossing our fingers here, and if he doesn't have anything, then we won't ever tap out of these 2 again. Looks like he killed our Pathbreaker Worm with Thunderous Wrath, which means that we do go down to 3. Not the best, but should be able to survive. He does have a second Trusted Force Mage. And he taps his remaining mana, which is very good for us. Okay, it's Fervent Cathar, yeah. So he did have it. But I don't think he had it last turn, because Force Mage plus Cathar would have killed us. So maybe, no, he couldn't have had it, because if he had Thunderous Wrath and Fervent Cathar, then he would have just brought us down to 1. So this is the beginning of combat, which is fine. And our apprentice, of course, isn't going to block, but we can use Ghostly Flicker on these two. And we should be able to work something out. Bouncing Wildwood Geist looks very promising. Now I kind of want to hit him for 5 in the air next turn, which would mean that I need to keep both my creatures, but I don't know if that's possible, because if I use Peel from Reality on the Alchemist and the Ranger, I go down to 1. Well, yeah, the Ranger goes to his hand, so I only need 2 blockers next turn, which I wouldn't have. No, let's think about this. I do have the Apprentice to block next turn, and so if I draw a creature, I have him dead basically. So alternatively, I block with the Mistraven and bounce Mistraven and Borderland Ranger, taking no damage and dealing 3 next turn, dealing 4 next turn with the help of the Apprentice. Yeah, that has to be the safer play. Because I would have to draw another creature, so I have to bounce the Ranger. He gets a land, but I can't let him reuse the Cathar. So now the Fervent Cathar isn't lethal anymore. Only the Force Mage is, and he has 2 creatures which don't do much. But I'm not winning the race anymore. Well, I'm not winning in 2 turns anymore. That's the price I paid. And we didn't draw anything, which would have been bad in the other circumstances as well. So if I bounce the Force Mage with Mistraven, it's actually kind of bad because he replays it and bounce it with Fervent Cathar, which means I have to block with the Apprentice. But I might have to sacrifice the Apprentice just to get another card that has more impact. I'm not dealing enough damage here, so I need something else. Maybe I should have played it the other way around, but then I would also be stuck here without another creature. So could deal 4 to him, then draw the creature, draw another spell maybe. I can always use the Apprentice to block next turn. But if I bounce the Force Mage, I'm blocking the Cathar with the Apprentice. Okay, so instead of hoping to draw something now, I'm just hoping to draw something next turn. Could deal 4 here. No, I need the flyers, so. Now I basically have 2 draw steps to find anything that kills him. And he has 3 useless creatures, and hopefully doesn't draw anything he can use. So the next problem is that most of his creatures are lethal. So if I block with Mistraven here, he has 2 lethal creatures next turn. If I block with the Apprentice, he has 3 lethal creatures next turn. Which means that, well, he drops the 5 mana guy anyway, so the amount of lethal creatures doesn't change with my block. However, the Apprentice draws me another card, so I'm just hoping to draw something relevant here. It's not looking too good. I think my outs have been reduced. To only a few cards. Trusted Force Mage is enough to block next turn, but I can't kill the Wildwood Geist. So yeah, that's bad. I feel like I can win this game if I play it differently. And that involves going for the 10-5-0 plan. But I think from what I drew, I also wouldn't have won it, just because my deck decided to give me 2 lands in a row. If he isn't attacking with the Force Mage, I still have a shot. I can't double block the Geist because he kills the Force Mage and then the Mistraven. So I'm just going to have to chump block it and hope to draw the +6/+6 spell. Or another blocker. No, he pairs the Force Mage again, so... yeah, that didn't work out. I feel like there should be a way to win this, but I didn't see it. So Geist Snatch is probably good. I need the Alchemist to handle his fast starts, but he didn't show any removal, so I feel like this match shouldn't be too bad actually. I took a little bit too much damage because he had Thunderous Wrath and Fervent Cathar, and then I somehow messed up the math on the race. At least that's what it feels like. I don't know if I could have won with my draws, but I should have been a little more focused on winning. I don't see a card I can cut for Geist Snatch. I want my creatures, and my spells are pretty nice. So my opponent is actually quite talkative. I can't really respond all the time when I'm recording, but that's actually quite nice. I feel like I also win if I don't play as defensively in the early turns of the game, where I didn't attack with my 3-2 on turn 6. But that feels kind of difficult. Now this looks like we are just going to try to win with the Lumberknot. The only question is which 4-drop we start with. But we could also draw into a Wingcrafter. And more 4-drops. So the Korean Striker is most likely getting Crippling Chilled, just to prevent some damage. And then, depending on what he does, we can drop the Shieldmate or the Lumberknot. Looks like he doesn't have another creature, which could mean that he doesn't have another land, because he has quite a lot of 3-drops. So with this, I'm just going to run out the Lumberknot, because it deals the most damage. This is actually interesting. I could just go for a Ringcrafter here and make this a 5/5 flyer, but I feel like making it hexproof is strictly better, because a 5/5 hexproof is going to be almost as good on the offensive, but also much more useful on the defensive. Okay, our opponent is discarding, so this game is probably going in our favor. Even if he starts dropping Force Mages, it's going to be really hard for him to get rid of the Lumberknot. And I have the Mistraven, so I can even buy another turn. Looks like he has Lumberknots as well. That's usually the reason to play Diregraf Escort. So another Mistraven. I believe we just bounce the Gloom Widow, because then our flyers can attack. Yeah. So not much to see there. Still don't think that we need anything else. He has shown that he's pseudo aggressive, but not aggressive enough to play this, I think. just because it's so bad against Trusted Force Mage that I'd rather not have it in my hand. Geist on the draw is much worse than on the play. So this has to do. Our opponent is on the play, mulligans to 6. We don't have a 2-drop, but our mana is perfect. This we'll have to cast for 6, but I think that's more than fine. Alchemist is a very good blocker for potential Force Mage and Current Striker, if he doesn't have both. That's basically it. Otherwise we might have to lead with Ledge Seeker to stop the Force Mages. He hasn't shown any removal or combat tricks, so I think that we can just pretend he doesn't have any. It's going to be quite important if he has a 2-drop here or not. Yeah, that's not the worst one. It's going to be interesting if this develops into some kind of race. Well, no, it looks like we are going to be on the defensive, which is actually not that bad, because we have Into the Void, maybe followed by Revenge of the Hunted, to just take over the game after a couple of turns. So now this card is not that interesting anymore, because we won't be able to block reliably. I'm just going to run out Ledge Seeker to block the Force Mage if possible. I don't want him to have too many Force Mages. And having Ringcrafter means I can drop these 2 next turn. Okay, so he does have some removal, which is kind of bad, because I go down to 11. And he has something else. That's pretty good. Now, the Alchemist stops the Current Striker, but that's about it. So what we want to do is next turn Into the Void, followed by Revenge of the Hunted. So, well, if we drop Alchemist and Ringcrafter, probably Force Mage and Striker are probably stopped, and he's down to 2 cards. And I don't have to bond them, which means that I can Force Mage later. Alternatively, I could Force Mage up these 2, but I like it better to offer my weaker creatures first. Another great card, but he shouldn't be able to attack with the Striker. I mean, if he wants to force damage, I guess he can. But it doesn't seem very good. Okay, he does force the damage. Which gives me a choice. I can now kill the Alchemist, and the Ringcrafter has the option to chump block the Force Mage, so that I don't go down to 5. If I chump block with the Force Mage, with the Ringcrafter, sorry, then he won't have an attack next turn, and I bounce Nettleswine, plus I bounce Nettleswine and Wolf. He replays one of them after I Into the Void, and then I hopefully Revenge of the Hunted all of them. I think that's my best bet. I don't want to go down to 5. I know that he has Thunder's Wrath in his deck. So yeah, let's do it. Crippling Chill. The next turn is going to be very important, but hopefully he only drops one creature now. The more turns go by where he has all his creatures untapped, the better my Revenge of the Hunted is going to become. Okay. Well, that's not a scary card. And we didn't draw a land, but we can use the Force Mage, the Vanguard, to block the Wandering Wolf, which is probably what we want to do, and then also draw a land. Let's just hope he doesn't descend path into anything ridiculous. We do know that he has the Nettle Swine, so that's not a big deal. Do I want to soulbond these? I feel like untapping Vanguard is okay, but not that great, so I don't think I do. Now let's hope that he doesn't hit. He hits a human, but it's not a good one. Well, he gets into play, so well, it's much better than drawing it. But Havenghoul Vampire. I wasn't expecting that one. Now we trade off these. And then he has 3, 4, and another 4, 8 defense. Which means that I have to keep the Diagraph Escort alive? No. The Force Mage is only a 2/2 after I block. So it's a 2/2, a 1/1, and a 4/4. Making it 7, and I deal 7, so I think that should work out. Oh, this is an intense game. Next up we have to do something against the Nettle Swine, but with the Alchemist we should be able to kill it. No, not kill it. We are going to make the Alchemist 2/5, and then we can block the swine. And this goes on the bottom. So the problem is if he has another human, then we really are going to need something. And I think I'm going to offensive Crippling Chill here. Also because it draws me a card. And I'm going to wait one turn on the Mistraven because I don't have a good target now. Making his Descendant's path worse also. Now the Smuggler might be the card we needed to finish this. It's not over yet, but it's looking good. He hit some lands. Let's see. We can bounce a creature every turn, so we could bounce the Force Mage so that he doesn't get a human, but I think we need to know what's up first, so we could attack here. But then I would have to bounce first. No, I think we just bounce with the Mistraven. We just attack with the Mistraven. And then he shouldn't have a good attack. Then we can start with the Smuggler. And if this is a human, then that's it. But it's not. That was probably not the right creature to bounce. Yeah, I'm playing a bit sloppy here. I have to untap the Alchemist before damage and so on. Smuggler and Mistraven, but also our early game stuff helped to win. Revenge of the Hunted was great. We had to engineer the victory a little bit, but we kind of knew what was coming. He had the Geyser Fire, which helped him a lot, but I think he doesn't have enough spells basically. It's when you are blue, it's very easy if you only play against creatures. You can almost calculate every turn your opponent has. So I'm expecting him to write something here, but I'm not quite sure. There we go. He's looking for his outs. But I mean, on Magic Online, when you have less than 4 minutes left, you probably shouldn't be checking for outs. You should just draw your card. I don't know what he wants to draw because I can always still flicker my Mistraven, so I'm pretty much guaranteed to deal 4 next turn. Okay, yeah, not if he has 2 creatures, of course. I think I bounce the Force Mage here, because I don't want the human in play for the Descendant's Path. And that's nice. So let's deal 2 here. Bounce the Use Spirit. And then we drop Lumberknot as well. And now he can't hit anything with the Descendant path. And I don't know if there are any cards to deal 8 to us now. Well, Bonfire of the Damned, of course, but that's about it. Good games. Whew, yeah, maybe a bit sloppy on my part, especially game 1, but wasn't too easy. So let's hope that round 2 goes as planned. See you.